Good afternoon, Ambazonians. Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Ambazonians. Good afternoon to you, those that have just joined us. Good afternoon to you. A saluto. I salute you. Those that have just joined us, good afternoon to you all. Good afternoon. Welcome. Good afternoon and welcome. Just let us know who you are. Let us know where you're joining from. And welcome. Good afternoon. Let us know who you are and where you've joined us from. And welcome. Welcome, Ambazonians. Welcome. I know this is a little bit of a surprise. Welcome, everyone. Just let us know who you are and where you're joining us from. I really appreciate you all for just joining. This is, so I appreciate you all for joining. This is going to be quick. It's going to be brief. So just let us know who you are and where you're joining from. I'd like to personally say hello to you. Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is going to be quick. So once we have a little bit of an audience, we're just going to move on to what is it that I would like to share. It's very important. So welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome, everyone. Let us know who you are. Just type your name and where you're joining from and say hello. Brown D. Eric. What's up, bro? Greetings. Please, and just go ahead and share and invite your friends. Let's build a quick audience. Charles. Hello, brother. Please just go ahead and just share and invite a few people. We'll get started very soon. I just have something important that I would like to share, and that's why I just came online. So it's going to be brief. So I thank you all for joining. Just go ahead and share and invite your friends, please. And I appreciate you all for the prompt response. So just go ahead and share and invite your friends. Let's build just a little bit of an audience. It's an important message I'd just like to pass on. Hope everyone is having a happy Easter Friday to everyone. Happy Easter Friday. It's Easter Friday here for us. It's a public holiday. So good afternoon to you all. Go ahead and share and invite your friends. We're just gonna, once we have a few people, just build up. We're just gonna start in the next 1 minute or so. I just have an important message I'd like to share. So, all right. So go ahead and invite your friends. I'm waiting. Let's get this going, guys. It's always exciting for me to visit with you guys. So you guys know that. And I honor you all so much for your time, always. Akawon. Happy to see you, my friend. Happy to see you. Thank you. Please just go ahead and share and invite your friends. Once we have a little bit of a build-up of an audience, we're just going to move straight to the subject. You will love this. Very important. Of course, but I always bring important stuff to you guys. So, yes, go ahead and share and invite your friends. Once we have a few people build up, we're just going to move straight into the subject. So please just type who you are, where you're joining us from. Hello, 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 everyone. The audience is building up fast. Thank you all for joining. Just type who you are and where you're joining us from. I'm so grateful to have all of you just promptly join us. All right, Ambazonians, I won't keep you waiting for long. There's a few things I would like to talk about. I had a very deep and detailed conversation with an international journalist yesterday, a very experienced journalist, where I always, as a leader, as a leadership coach, as a strategist, My goal is to dig in. I'm like the why guy. I want to find out, why do the things that are happening the way they are happening. So I was talking to a very experienced international journalist by the name of Ellie Smith to get a perspective, an objective perspective, a perspective that is not biased. And I asked very deep questions. So some of the questions I asked gave me very profound answers that I would like to share. And so when I was talking to him yesterday and I asked him, I said, when all of this thing started, was Buea ready to talk to the people, to dialogue with the people, to engage the peoples of Southern Cameroons when it was the consortium? And he said to me, yes, Buea was willing and ready to dialogue. And I said, but what stopped the process from happening? And he said, the problem was Buea was even willing to accept a two-state federation because Buea wanted to continue to be the president. And he didn't want Cameroon to have more instability in the north and the southwest. So to stop all of those things from happening, Buea was ready, willing to accept a two-state federation. Because he knew from the previous constitutions, right? But what stopped it was Laurent Esso. You guys should pay attention to this. So as we speak, since September or October 2017 and 16, Laurent Esso, it's been the primary policy maker, shaper, the primary decision maker, the influencer, the primary voice in shaping La République public policy in terms of its execution of the Southern Cameroon's revolution. Laurent Esso was the one who gave Buea the advice that the military option would be the best way to solve the problem, will be the best way to end the problem, will be the best way to make sure that the Anglophone never rise up anymore. This is all the thinking of Laurent Esso. So Laurent Esso has really influenced primarily this crisis, how it exploded and where we are today. So, but why is it continuing? And why did Buea came up to defend the war? Because that's the advice Laurent Esso gave him, that's the best option. So now you see a situation whereby their Minister of National Security, their Minister of Defense, the Anglophone. So when I asked Mr. Smith, I said, look, as an objective journalist, you've traveled the world, you've covered places in like the Democratic Republic of Congo, where you've actually worked there. So I asked him, I said, but why do they still want to continue with a war that they can't win? And he said, look, the war right now, you guys should pay attention. The war right now, to a lot of Buea's inner circle, it's a money-making machine. Pay attention to this. Because when things are happening, most of us do not take the time to do these investigations, do not take the time to ask questions that will give us this empirical data, this knowledge, this wisdom. And then we spend our time reacting. So now the war has become a money-making machine for most of the Buea inner circles because of the military contracts. Those equipments they buying. So every time they're buying those equipments, they make millions of dollars, not millions of CFA. They make millions of dollars as kickbacks, but they also make millions of dollars. Remember, in Cameroon, there is a law within their framework that if a minister gives out a contract, that minister will get 10% of that contract, of whatever the cost of the contract. So now it's a money-making machine, but now it's also become a war of pride. because they know they cannot win. They know they can't win. So now it's a matter of pride. You guys listening to this? So even though it's destroying their economy, even though they are losing lots of lives of their military, even though it's destroying their reputation internationally, because they are making so much money out of this, the people in the inner circle are making so much money out of this, it's become a matter of pride for them to continue this losing war, a war that they can't win, a war that they are losing economically, they are losing socially, they are losing on diplomatic front, they are losing on international image, but because it's a matter of pride, and that's why they continue with execution. So I asked another important question. I said, tell me, what is changing in La Republique? He said, what is changing? Buea is changing his calculation. And that's why he has removed René Sadi, which they work, René Sadi and Laurent Esso work hand in hand to execute the kidnapping of the abduction of our leaders. Because if we execute the war and we take out, because they use what they call counterinsurgency strategy. Some of you that have studied the military style of counterinsurgency is that they believe that when you go into a situation and you take out the top leaders, the revolution will die. So the calculation is, if we launch a war on the ground and then we take out the leaders that are causing this, everything will fall apart. We know France is advising them, don't get me wrong, but they are not playing a greater role right now. So I asked him, why did Paul Buea appoint Atanganji? He said Atanganji has been ridiculed. Within the Buea circle, Atanganji was considered a nobody. But Atanganji was so loyal to Paul Buea that he defended Paul Buea even to the Anglophones. Even when the Anglophone ostracized Atanganji, Atanganji supported Buea. So while the inner circle were laughing at Atanganji for his lack of education, for the fact that he's an Anglophone, Buea decided to reward a loyalist. Atanganji became the strongest loyal support to Paul Buea. So he stuck with Paul Buea. Even when people didn't like what was happening, he was there with Paul Buea, defending Paul Buea. So what Paul Buea wanted to do was to shut them up, said, you guys should shut up, and rewarded Atanganji for his loyalty. Why? Because Atanganji has a very sinister personality. Pay attention to this. Atanganji is so sinister. So Buea appointed Atanganji for 3 reasons. Number 1, he wanted to reward Atanganji. And number 2, he wanted to shame and to shut up the other loyalists that were laughing at Atanganji. Number 3, Buea wanted to satisfy the traditional chiefs of Southwest. Buea wanted to satisfy the elites of the south of Southern Cameroons, because they have been, one of their complaints is that they've never had a minister like a minister of territorial administration in one of those key ministries. So Buea accomplished 3 things by appointing Atanganji. But Buea also had hidden intention to appoint Atanganji. One of the hidden intention is Atanganji can play the Buea's dirty game. Atanganji can go into the field and play the dirty game, very corrupt. Atanganji can go into the field and tell the chief up front, if you don't bring your community into order, you are gone. If you don't, so that's Atanganji, and that's the underlying reason Buea appointed Atanganji into this position. So now that gives you an overall understanding why what is happening in La Republique, it's happening. Now let's bring that back to the people of Amazonia. Because once we understand, then we start to shape our own policy, our own aggressive, offensive, not defensive. Because right now, it seems as if we're playing a defensive game. We have to move to an offensive game. Buea is playing an offensive game, and we are playing a defensive game. We have to change the mindset. We have to change our leadership strategy. We have to change our approach to go into an offensive instead of a defensive position. Because in a very defensive position, you lose a lot of energy. So now we have to shift our game to offensive. And then I asked Ellie Smith, I said, tell me, you interact with international journalists, you interact with the CNN, you interact with the BBC, you interact with all these international news outlets. Why is the Southern Cameroon, this genocide, this war, these atrocities, these gross human rights violations that are taking place in Southern Cameroon, why is the international media so quiet about it? You'll be very surprised when I tell you what he told me. He says, look, the information is not coming out. They don't know anything about what's happening. Yeah. To you, as a Southern Cameroonian, he says, no, there's a lot of information coming out. The information is only circulating, the information is only being circulated within the Southern Cameroon's communities, groups, social groups, online groups. The information is, we only sending this information to ourselves. And then we comment on the information to ourselves. But the information, to take this information, so he said, look, I talked to my friends in BBC. They said, look, what is really happening? We don't have any idea. We don't have any information about what's happening. Does that surprise you? Because here is why. We communicate within ourselves. We don't share the information to relevant news media outlets. And then even when we try to share that information with them, we do it in a way that it's propaganda, not factual. Are you getting my point? So we take when we send something about 2 people being killed, we take the information and send it to them in the form of a propaganda message, in form of a very factual message. 2 people were killed or raped in this village. Here are their names, here are their age, here is the region. By XYZ. But we are sending it, oh, Buea lawyers, leave forces, did this. That's not propaganda. That's what I'm trying to say here. So that's why information, it's not reaching. The people cannot talk without the information. The few media outlets, like right now, Punchline Africa, has become the #1 international voice for the people of Southern Cameroons. So how do we change this narrative? We have to move from Facebook. Pay attention, guys. We have to move from Facebook to Twitter. When you take information and you go to Twitter, when you tweet something and you put in the hashtags, when you tweet something and you tag somebody, you can immediately tag BBC. There is a picture that I put of a woman that gave birth in the bushes. And I tagged all the international news outlets. That picture has been circulated to maybe about 100 people have retweeted that picture. But it's now gone wider than just within the Southern Cameroon's community. I told them when it happened. I told them where it happened. I told them the village where it's taking place, the division, and the region. Those information. You guys get my point? So this is what I'm trying to say. Let's move the communication. A lot of our friends, Mark Barretta is doing a great job. Eric Tato is doing a great job. The information ends within ourselves on Facebook. If we take that information, when Eric Tato, my great friend, our great journalist, when Mark Barretta take that same information on the Mark Barretta news outlet, take a portion of it and put the same or a little bit 25% of effort on Twitter, we will get a greater response. Because now we will not be talking to ourselves. We can take that information and tag immediately and tag International Crisis Group, Amnesty International. You can talk to Paul Kagame of the president of Rwanda, who is now the chairman of the African Union. Imagine in one day, Paul Kagame gets 100 tweets sent directly to him with images of the atrocities, of the things happening in Southern Cameroon. Imagine we do that every single day. Imagine we do that for 1 week. Imagine we send to the State Department, to the US State Department, those information of the atrocities, all those killings, all those rapings, all those burnings. Imagine we have those images, and on a daily basis, we are cataloging them and sending them to the US State Department via Twitter. And they are getting images every day of what is happening moment to moment in this community, in this village. Imagine we do that. We can move the internationalization of this struggle forward when we stop talking to ourselves. We are talking to ourselves, competing for Facebook attention, competing for likes, competing for comments. We have to move beyond that. We have to move beyond that. Let's move beyond. That's what I'm trying to say. We are seeking for the recognition of the restoration of our independence. We must play the 21st century game. It's a game of how to communicate and how to use social media to create a social impact. It's not a game to gain likes and comments. It's a game to create social influence. This is why I'm having this conversation. It's a game to create social impact. It's a game to create social influence. Thank you, Paul Kagame, not Paul Kagama. Thank you very much. So it's a game to create social impact, social awareness, a social campaign, not a game to just gain likes and comments just within the same pool of people. Come on. We can do this game, guys. We are smart, we are brighter. All right, that's enough for that for now. Let's move to point number 2. Point number 2 is, if anyone is watching this, anyone from the interim government is watching this, pay very close attention. Dr. Sako, the acting interim president, can easily raise $2 million. Very easily. Here is how it's going to happen. Dr. Sako has launched this great initiative. But as you know, things on social media do not live very long. Pay close attention. This is an area I know very well. Things on social media do not last very long. So once you launch an initiative, if you don't create a momentum on that initiative so that it goes viral and it delivers the greatest amount of results in the shortest period of time, the momentum will die down within a very short period of time. Things on social media do not last. So, Dr. Sako, there are a few things I would like to recommend. You guys can share this with him. They can contact me. If they want, they can take this. And if they care and follow this, free advice. 1, the $2 million will not be able to be raised completely online right now. And I'll tell you why. Not that I'm a pessimist, but because I understand the social psychology and the background of where most of us came from. Most of our people use the internet, but most of them, they do not also trust the same internet. Most people do not also know how to use online banking. Do not do that yet. That's a lot of people that I communicate with them in the United States. They are from Southern Cameroon, and I'm telling them that, okay, I want to send you this transaction, and they tell me, oh, I don't have an online bank account. Very interesting. So what I'm trying to say is, we have to do it both the new way, which is online, and we have to do it the traditional way. Remember, Dr. Sako just took over this huge responsibility as the acting interim president. So while Dr. Sako was focusing on trying to build the relationship with the people, connect with the people and build the relationship, immediately the initiative was launched. So 1, the relationship between Dr. Sako and the relationship has not been completely cemented, and then that initiative was launched, which was great. So now he's doing 2 things. Building a relationship with the people, selling himself to the people, selling his vision to the people, and at the same time, my trip to Buea. So the campaign, My Trip to Buea, has gained some momentum, but has not even gotten to the peak of that momentum yet. There's a reason. Here's the reason. The reason is because the relationship, to build that relationship with the people, was not completed before the initiative was launched. That can be reversed by Dr. Sako doing what he's done so far. He's gone on the Barretta platform. He's gone on Eric Tato's platform. He's gone on Capos Daniel's platform. That's a social online engagement. But remember, as much as our people are online, we are coming from still a very communal, traditional background. I will suggest Dr. Sako goes out, meet the people, set out a trip to meet the people. The people need to see Dr. Sako physically. The people need to hear him physically. The people need to be in a room with Dr. Sako, where Dr. Sako will share his vision, his policy, and why my trip to Buea, this $2 million, and what it's going to do and why it's going to work. That has to be done on a face-to-face. It has to be done on face-to-face. The big donors are not on Facebook. The people with the big money, the people that would donate the 5, the 10, the 20, the 30, the 40, the 50, the $60,000, they're not going to do that on a website. They're going to do that when you build a relationship with them. When you build a relationship with them, when they can look at you face to face and believe you. So here's my advice. Within the coming month, Dr. Sako, the US has 6 regions. She set out to visit these country regions in the United States to meet the people, talk to the people. Dr. Sako has to sell the vision of the Ambazonian people, what I call the Ambazonian dream. Sell the Ambazonian dream, and then you tell them the way to that is my trip to Buea, and how the policy can be created, can be done. I understand that. All I'm trying to say is that the US is very safe. Maybe we are afraid that we don't want to travel. Well, in the US, you already live in the US, can visit the 6 regions. Most Southern Cameroonians are concentrated in these 6 regions. That can be done. Canada is very safe. That can be done. Most places in Europe are very safe. That can be done. This is what I'm suggesting. I'm just suggesting, like someone, this is what we do. Help to set up this type of stuff. So this is my take, that we can achieve this $2 million. Because as I've said, things on the internet do not last long. Things on the social media have a very short lifespan. It's only so much you will hear my trip to Buea before you're looking for the next new thing. This is online behavior. It's something we know very well. It's something we're paying close attention to. So we have to, as leaders, the leader has to get out there, meet the people, talk to the people. This is where it's going to really happen. I just want to take the time to honor my brother. Wana Kinara. Ntegele. Wana Nwasu. Right? So, this is how we can do this thing. You remember, Sako did this when he was doing the fundraising for the refugees. He took the time, met the people, traveled to meet the people. The donors will give you, when they look at you face to face, and they can trust you, and they can believe you, and they can count on your word that you're going to deliver results. People will donate. Online is great. It will only take us so far. That's all. Next, Ground Zero. I've been getting calls from people on Ground Zero. People on Ground Zero want to donate. People on Ground Zero want to contribute The people on ground zero, they want to invest in their own freedom, in their own liberation as well. So people on ground zero want to contribute. They want to donate. They want to be part of the, they already pay, the people on ground zero are already paying the greatest price. But now they also want to do the financial contributions. Last night, I had 3 calls. People called me from ground zero and they told me that they want to make contributions. And they even gave me suggestions about how people on ground zero can go about to make these contributions. So if you're on ground zero listening to me right now, please, just do me a favor. Can each of you just do me a favor? Can you just share this video? Just go ahead and share, please. Thank you, guys. Just share and invite your friends. Please. And thank you for doing that. Just share and invite your friends. I appreciate you guys very much. I appreciate you guys. Just share and invite your friends. So let's move on. So the people on ground zero, they want to contribute. They want to be part of the contribution to my trip to Buea. So if you're on ground zero, you can make your contribution. But do that and be safe, because the Buea government is paying close attention to who is doing money transfer, who is sending money out of the country, and to where that money is going. Okay? So pay attention. If you want to do this, find someone who's in the diaspora. Let's say you want to send $100 US. Find someone who's in diaspora you trust. And you can go give that, let's say $100. I don't know what is $100 US. Let's just say 50,000. You go, let's say that you're supposed to send $100 US for someone here to pay your contribution to the interim government. You can go to that person who said, okay, go give this person 50,000 and I will pay your $100. In that way, you are safe. That person's pay your $100 to the interim government. All they have to do is get the interim government to register your name with the money, send them a receipt. They take that receipt and send it to you. This is what I'm trying to say. Find someone that's trustworthy. Not someone that's going to take your $100, okay? Who's going to say, oh, I will pay the $100 for you, and then they end up not paying the $100. Or they take your $100 and pay for themselves, and then they're telling you, oh, I can't send you the receipt because of XYZ. No. Once you pay the money, the interim government can send an official receipt on that person's name. They take it, take a picture of it, and send it to you. That can be done. So that's the safest way you can do it. I don't know any other way. If you have any other way, please, you can make a video, send it out, and give suggestions as how people can safely, easily make their own contribution from ground zero. I'm talking about those that want to, can afford to make a contribution to my trip to Buea. It's very important that we do this. Next one. This is the period how for the ground game to intensify. We should not give La République du Cameroun a break. We should not give La République du Cameroun a break. We know the interim government is busy right now raising money for a bigger ground game. We know that. But between now until then, the ground action should be intensified. Ground action should be intensified. So while you're making my contribution to my trip to Buea, if you haven't done so, I would suggest you go make your contribution. You still have maybe a day or two. Make your contribution before April 1st. Today is Friday. Make your contribution. Today is Friday. If you're somewhere in the diaspora, most people are getting their paychecks on Fridays. So you can make your contribution on Saturday, and by Sunday, your contribution should be made. Right? So the ground game should be intensified in order that La République should not have a break. Because the more we stretch them, we have to stretch them in all 13 counties. All 13 counties. Just like Dr. Cho has said, just like Dr. Sako has said, self-defense, it's now an official policy of this campaign. So, wherever you are, the block-by-block strategy, defend your community, defend your village, defend your block, defend your neighborhood. Give the enemy a tough time. As Dr. Sako has said, as Dr. Cho has said, now is the time. Now is the time to step up the action on the ground. Now is the time for, if you're on the ground and you belong to any group, this is the time to step up the action. So I'm also appealing to those that are watching that as you make your contribution to my trip to Buea, please also make your contribution to those groups that are taking ground action, to those groups that are defending our villages, our towns, our cities, our mothers, our sisters, our population. To those groups, they need your help as well. Remember, this is a collective responsibility. It is not just the responsibility of the interim government. It is not just the responsibility of AGC. It's not just the responsibility of SOCADEF. It's not just the responsibility of Dr. Akwanga. This is a collective responsibility. All self-defense groups are fighting for one cause. All self-defense groups are fighting for one cause. All of our leaders are fighting for one cause. So as you making your contribution to the interim government, it is equally important to make your contribution and fund these other self-defense groups that are currently taking on the burden to defend our people, the burden to push these terrorists and minimize their atrocities. So do that as well. Don't just think about, oh, I only support the interim government. Remember, all self-defense groups are fulfilling one single purpose, which is to defend the restoration of independence. That's all. Defend the people, defend the communities, defend the restoration of independence. So while the interim government prepare to take on the bigger burden of defending homeland, these self-defense groups should be helped. They should be helped. All right? So we have a bigger role to play. We have a bigger purpose to fulfill. Our destiny is at stake. Our future is at stake. We will never relent. We will never slow down. We will never quiet down. This is the time to intensify ground action. So support both the interim government initiative for my trip to Buea and also support the self-defense groups that are acting on the ground. The Nchangshu boys, Tigers of Ambazonia, right? This is a collective responsibility. I know that most of us we have this opinion that just because I support the interim government, I don't like what Ayabacho is doing. I don't like what Akwanga is doing. I don't like what these other people are doing. Well, right now, those are the people on the ground doing the groundwork. You may not like the leaders, whatever. You may not like Ayabacho, but appreciate the sacrifices of SOCADEF. Appreciate what the ADF are doing on the ground. Appreciate that. Remember, they are responding to what Sako had called. They are responding to the proclamation of the restoration of independence. That's what they are responding for. They are defending the restoration of independence. They are telling the Republic to Cameroon government that, look, business as usual is not the new norm. The new norm is a new homeland. The new norm is there's an Ambazonia. A new norm is this is a sovereign state. So back off. And if you come here, you are at risk. So let's form these groups. Let's get out of this bullshit. Let's get out of this BS that I only support these groups. All groups are fulfilling a collective purpose. Fund the groups. We should be very results-oriented, not tribalistic or group-oriented. Be very results-oriented. All these groups are to achieve one goal. That's it. Achieve one goal. And so while they are working on the background to come to a consensus, to create a collaboration. For right now, let's keep funding them. Let's keep supporting them. Let's keep motivating them. Let's keep giving them what they need to execute this ground action and send out these La Republique terrorists. This is the time we, this generation, we step up our game. Sorry guys, that was a call that was coming in. This is the time we, this generation, step up our game. Would really step up our game. And so my next point is, I really want to encourage everyone that is watching, stop hiding behind fake profiles. If you are somewhere in the diaspora, you cannot go to Cameroon safely. You can't. They've put a blanket on all of us. You can't go to Cameroon. So step up and become an activist. Step up and become an activist. The more of us we start to speak out, Buea cannot put 2 million people to jail. You understand that? So don't leave the responsibility for social activism just for a few people. Step up. You can reach people nobody can reach. You can reach people Dr. Sako cannot reach. You can reach people Mark Barretta cannot reach. You can reach people Tapal Ivo can reach. You can reach people Tato Eric cannot reach. So join the movement. Don't just sit in the background. Your voice is equally important. Imagine what we all can do when we all start to speak up. Imagine the changes we can make. Imagine the changes we can inspire. Because the more people see you step up and want to serve, and you're not doing it because you want some social popularity, you just genuinely care about your people, you just genuinely care about the freedom, you genuinely care about the fact that you want a better life for our people, for our nation, that you care and you want to do something about it. So this is the spirit of Ambazonia, a spirit that we can work together, collaborate, disagree, but be respectful. Like yesterday, I had a great conversation with Capo Daniel. Great online conversation. So I look forward for us to be able to have these civil interactions, conversations. And so let's challenge our leaders. Let's challenge Dr. Sako. Let's challenge Dr. Akwanga. Let's challenge Dr. Ayabacho. Let them disagree but be respectful and find common grounds. Because this is how we forge the future. We have not even gotten to Buea yet, but there is such disunity. Let's show our people that we all have a common purpose and a common destiny. These leaders need to step up and unite and put the people of Ambazonia first, before their ego, before their differences. So it's time it's time you watching, start to call your leader that you want them to unite. That you want them to unite. This $2 million My Trip to Buea campaign can easily be achieved when Dr. Ayabacho and Dr. Sako unite and they're in front of an audience in a conference hall doing fundraising together and charting the vision of Ambazonia together. Imagine what we can do when we put these petty differences aside and harness the love of the Ambazonian people, and then launch a greater purpose. And that is the Ambazonian dream. The freedom and liberation of the Ambazonian people. We can do this very easily. We can do this very easily. But it starts by setting a new standard of what a leader is and what leadership is in the 21st century. We can do this. That's all. This is the conversation I wanted to have today. So, I will spend a few minutes. If there are any questions, all right? If there's any question, any suggestion, any opinion, please just share. Just share. I'm not supposed to be doing this live video today. We're supposed to have a guest, the international journalist Ellis Smith. Unfortunately, he was tied up by an assignment, so we couldn't have him on online today. So I just said, you know what? Let me just take a few minutes and engage our people. All right. So you guys have any question for me? You have any question for your friend? It's a public holiday today, so but I'll be doing a lot of work, so I have a lot of work waiting for me. You have any question for me, please? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you, Colette, Tenya. Thank you, Tenya. No, Tenia. Okay, Colette. Happy day, bro. Thank you very much. CFA. The Iron Lady Abu Free. Greetings. Iron Lady, I agree. Look, yesterday we talked about it. You were there when I and Capo were talking about it. The interim government need massive restructuring. I completely agree. Dr. Sako just took this organization just less than 2 months ago. So let's inspire him. Let's encourage him to do this, carry out this restructuring that is required. Okay? Please. Yeah, sure. Is there a way in which we call all activists? Yeah, is there a way in which we call all activists to come together and hold a conference where you invite all the leaders? Sure, we can do something like that. Maybe we can do something like that online as an online platform because it's much more easier to reach mass number of people. It's possible. I will suggest that to my friend Capo Daniel. Capo is very good in setting up these type of things. Very resourceful. If the president go around Ambazonia, will not start saying he's spending money. Look, Fidelis Ambe. If the president go around, Ambazonia will start saying he's spending Ambazonian money. Look, Fidelis, to accomplish great things, you have to do what you know is right for the people. Traveling around the United States, it's not that expensive. If the president takes a trip, I'm just saying, and they spend $3,000, and the president raised $50,000, they wouldn't have been able to raise the $50,000 if they haven't spent the $3,000. So this is how we have to start to think. But if we are thinking about what people will think, a leader, a great leader, an impeccable leader, values public opinion. But most importantly, he focused on the purpose and the results for the people. As long as he can promise to deliver the results and be very transparent about the people, as long as the interim government is very transparent about the expenditure, and that, let's say they spent $3,000, but they raised $50,000, that is very reasonable to the Ambazonian people. Very reasonable, don't you think? If you invest $3,000 and you make $50,000, you are up by $47,000. That's what we are talking about. Before the abduction of, he appointed some ambassadors. What is their role to the struggle? Bro, I personally do not know the answer to that question, but I'm sure they had some reasoning behind it. I personally do not know the answer to that question. I've also asked that question, and they cannot answer it to my satisfaction. And that's why people are calling for restructuring. That's right. What is your take? What is your take on ACT at this point of the struggle? Well, Iron Lady Abu Frey, my take is ACT is most needed in this struggle right now. It's very needed because it's better to ACT now represent about 5 organizations. So it's better to negotiate and have a talk with the chairperson of ACT than to try to talk to 5 people at the same time. So it's very instrumental. ACT is almost like an oppositional political party. Think about it that way. It creates balance because it creates a sense of competition. But it's not competition in a negative sense, a positive competition. A positive competition because now both organizations have to strive to work very hard for the liberation, for the struggle, instead of playing low, instead of playing small. So when you see organizations coming up like the ARC, the ARCC group, it really forces all other organizations to step up their game. People like things like the interim government, because they know what the Amazonian people are after. It's who's going to take us to Buea. If the ARCC today proves to the Amazonian people that we have a better game, we have a better strategy to win both on the ground action or raising money, ground action and diplomacy, and you can prove it to the Amazonian people and you can start to show results, that's all the Amazonian people care about. I hope that makes sense to you. Scott Judson, you said you were online with Capo Daniel. Yes, that was yesterday. Why didn't you tell him his approach of activism is causing more division? That's not, I personally don't believe, because Capo Daniel is doing an extraordinary job. But maybe you perceiving something, reasoning to something that I don't know. So maybe you should send Capo a message. He's very open to talking to anyone. He's open to constructive feedback. What do you say when Dr. Cho said on air that the IG should be dissolved? I hope you know I'm not in the interim government. And so what Dr. Cho has said, that the framework, what was put into the Constitution, what came out of the fourth conclave, a lot of those things are not being followed in the way the structure is being set up. This is what Dr. Cho is saying. What was put on paper as the guiding rules of how things should be done, let's say if they want to make an appointment, those people were supposed to be vetted first by the members of the Restoration Council. Those things are not being followed, and that's why Dr. Cho is saying that. Okay, thank you for the correction, Iron Lady. 6, not 5. How much confidence do you have on the project of my trip to Buea? Please, your answer. AF Ntum. My honest answer is, I believe Dr. Sako is a very sincere man, and he meant what he's saying. I believe my trip to Buea is going to be very successful. Raising the money will be very successful. I don't know the inner workings of those that are responsible. The military experts or the diplomatic experts, I don't know the details of that. But in terms of his proposition, I believe I'm convinced by his sincerity. And I'm convinced by his way of reasoning that what we've done in the past was to put out the fires that La Republica is causing. Now we have to stop putting out fires and create an offensive approach, not a defensive approach. We've been doing a lot of defending. Now let's create an offensive, a bigger, a larger scale offensive approach in many fronts. Well, look, Elvis, this is the game. This is the calculation of the game. The game was, if we arrest the president, we arrest his entire entourage, we will kill the movement. That's just the game. So it's something that they think it's going to work for their favor, but as we are saying, it's not going to work. All right, guys, I'm sorry. I have to cut this very short. Join me on my profile. Ellie Smith just messaged me. He's free. I'm going to my profile. I'm going to invite Ellie Smith, and we are going to do the most craziest interview you've ever seen, you've ever watched, you've ever heard. A lot will be broadcast today, which will make people's eyes rolling. So please, I have to end this right now. Join me on my profile, Lucas Asu. I'll be live there in about 2 minutes. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.